Hello everyone, so welcome to our channel Medico Prime Education. So in today video lecture, we are going to deal with the epiphysis. So before epiphysis, we will see the parts of the bone, and after that we will discuss the epiphysis. So epiphysis is very important, very important questions for university point of view. So you have to prepare about that. Okay. So now, what is epiphysis? First, we have to understand the basic funda. Where is the epiphysis present in our the long bone? So, this is the epiphysis. Sorry, this is the long bones. In long bones, what you will see? You will see the epiphysis, diaphysis, and epiphysis. Okay, so epiphysis basically these are present at the end of the long bone. Okay, so in between the epiphysis and diaphysis, there is a presence of epiphyseal plate or growth plate may be present. So this is the overview of the long bone, parts of the long bone. And also you will see the above the epiphysis, we see the articular cartilage. Okay, and you also see the epiphyseal line, what we have already told you. Uh, Okay, so. But one more thing is this epiphyseal line does not present at the lower end because bones always grow in that direction only. Okay. So a typical long bone consists of three types, three parts: diaphysis, metaphysis, and epiphysis. Okay. We will discuss one by one. Before epiphysis, I will discuss the diaphysis. So, diaphysis is the elongated shaft of the long bone which ossifies from the primary center. This is the MCQ. Because diaphysis is originates from which from the primary center, ossification of the bone which leads to the formation of diaphysis. And one more thing is metaphysis. It is the epiphyseal ends of the diaphysis. So if we draw like that, this is the long bone. Okay, so this is the long bone. This is the epiphysis, and this is what in between the diaphysis and epiphysis. Okay, so this is diaphysis and epiphysis. Okay, so this is epiphysis, this is diaphysis. Understand? So this part is diaphysis. In between the diaphysis, the epiphyseal end of the diaphysis means this is the diaphysis has two end. This is the epiphyseal end. Okay, so this is the epiphyseal end. So metaphysis, this air is the lies metaphysis. This is the metaphysis, and this metaphysis is zone of active growth. So from the zone of active, this is also known as zone of active growth. Before epiphyseal fusion, metaphysis is rich supply with blood through which and arteries. So before epiphyseal fusion, after that these epiphyseal end gets fused. Before epiphyseal fusion, metaphysis is most of the blood supplied through the end arteries. You will see in the blood supply of the bone. What is end arteries? End arteries जिसको जहाँ एनास्टोमोस नहीं करता वो आर्टरी को बोलते हैं एंड आर्टरीज ठीक है जो आर्टरी फाइनली एनास्टोमोस नहीं करता ठीक है so after the epiphyseal fusion, a vascular communication are established between the metaphyseal and epiphyseal artery. So there are two arteries in the metaphysis, metaphyseal artery, epiphysis, epiphyseal artery. So if we see this is the epiphysis and this is the metaphysis. Here is the metaphysis artery, here is the epiphyseal artery. After the fusion of epiphysis and both epiphyseal end, तो यहाँ पे क्या होगा कि दोनों में कम्युनिकेशन बन जाएगा. तो जब हम लोग ब्लड सप्लाई देखेंगे तो उसमें हम लोग देखेंगे कम्युनिकेशंस. Okay, so what you have to remember that metaphysis is the epiphyseal end of the diaphysis. Okay, and diaphysis originates from the primary ossification. Primary ossification. Okay, so you have to remember all these things. So our main topic is the epiphysis. So epiphysis, what is epiphysis? Epiphysis क्या होता है? देखो तुम्हें पता चल गया कि एपिफाइसिस क्या होता है कहाँ पे होता है ये आपका प्रॉक्सिमल एपिफाइसिस हो गया ये आपको भी बताया मेटाफाइसिस इतना पार्ट मेटाफाइसिस फिर उसके बाद डायाफाइसिस डायाफाइसिस होता है एंडोस्टियम होता है कॉम्पैक्ट बोन होता है और फिर पेरियोस्टियम होता है सबसे बाहर पेरियोस्टियम फिर कॉम्पैक्ट बोन फिर उसके बाद एंडोस्टियम तो इसके बीच का जो ये कनेक्शन होता है उसको बोलते हैं शार्पिश फाइबर ये सब सारा चीज मैं आपको डिस्कस किया था पिछले लेक्चर में So what we have to discuss the types of epiphysis, the most important question for the university exam. So two cartilaginous end of the growing bone are known as epiphysis. So what is epiphysis? This is the cartilaginous end where the articular cartilage is present. So it is known as cartilaginous end. This is also known as articular cartilage. Okay, so this is the cartilaginous end of the growing bone is known as epiphysis. It consists of what? Spongy bone within the thin outer wall of compact bone. So it also consists of, here you can see the spongy bone, okay, which contains compact bone also. Okay, okay. Now we will move to the types of epiphysis. So first type of epiphysis is the pressure epiphysis. First type is pressure epiphysis. Second type is traction epiphysis, and third type is atavistic epiphysis. Okay, and pressure epiphysis, traction epiphysis, atavistic epiphysis, aberrant epiphysis. So four types of epiphysis we have to write in your exam. So we will discuss one by one. First is pressure epiphysis. Pressure epiphysis is develops in the line of the weight of the transmission at the articular end of the long bone. So if we discuss the pressure epiphysis in this diagram, so this is the pressure epiphysis. Okay, तुम्हें पता है ये जो कनेक्शन किससे होता है? ये ह्यूमरस है ना, ठीक है? ये कनेक्शन किससे होता है? बताओ। सॉरी, फीमर है। तो ये कनेक्शन किससे होता है? ये कनेक्शन हेड ऑफ द फीमर किससे कनेक्ट होता है यहाँ पर में? पेल्विक बोन से कनेक्ट होता है जाके, ठीक है। तो ये जो इसका जो प्रेशर यहाँ से पेल्विक बोन से कनेक्ट होता है, तो इसका जो प्रेशर है ये इस तरीके से पड़ेगा, ठीक है। जो ऊपर से जो वेट आ रहा है बोन का, इसका प्रेशर यहाँ पर में पड़ेगा। तो ये प्रेशर बन रहा है, इस ये जो प्रेशर इसको फॉर्म कर रहा है इस तरीके का एपिफाइसिस को, उसको बोलेंगे प्रेशर एपिफाइसिस, ठीक है। सो तो अब तुम्हें पता है वेट इस डायरेक्शन में पड़ रहा है, वेट इज गोइंग टू अप्लाई ऑन दिस डायरेक्शन, ओके। And also, you also known as traction epiphysis. If we discuss the traction epiphysis, pulling and pushing mechanism will be at. So, for the pressure epiphysis, we have to discuss that the weight is from where the weight gain. Okay, so from where weight comes. So in that direction, we will define the pressure epiphysis. So if we see the example here. If we see the example, head of the humerus and lower end of the radius. Lower end of the radius also shows the pressure from the upper part of the humerus. Okay. So this protects the epiphyseal cartilage from the stress and strain during the growth period. So what is the function of the pressure epiphysis? This helps to the protection of epiphyseal cartilage. We have seen the epiphyseal cartilage. So this is the epiphyseal cartilage above. So it may be moved here and here around that. So it protects from the stress and strain during the growth period. Okay. Next type is traction epiphysis. It develops at the site of the attachment of the certain muscle which exert a pulling action. We have already told you there is a pulling action which promotes the traction epiphysis, which leads to the development of it. Okay. So developed at the site of attachment of the certain muscle, like a greater trochanter of the femur and tubercle of humerus. So all these have a attachment. You already know. So greater trochanter is a muscle attachment, and tubercle of the humerus has muscle attachment. So if we see the pressure epiphysis, here is a muscle attachment like that. Okay. So if any muscle attached from this point, the muscle pull it upward. Okay. So here also a muscle attachment on greater and lesser trochanter. So this muscle pull like that. ठीक है. तो ये क्या जनरेट कर रहा है? पुलिंग एक्शन जनरेट कर रहा है. ठीक है. So this traction epiphysis basically develops due to the pulling action. ठीक है. What type of, this is the epiphysis. No, this is the epiphysis like a parts of the epiphysis like forms irregular type of bone structure. So how this irregular type of bone structure formed due to the pulling. Okay, so if the muscle pull during the time of development, this type of trochanter will be developed, and this trochanter is known as greater and lesser trochanter. Why is greater and lesser trochanter developed? Because there is attachment of muscle initially, and after during the development, this muscle pulls that part of the bone and forms that trochanter. So this type of epiphysis is known as traction epiphysis. You know the tractor. This is the tractor, and here is the one of the container attached from that. So tractor pulls that. So you can remember like that. That traction pulls that. So pulling process you can write. Okay, pulling mechanism. Understand the mechanism? Okay. So this is the example also. Greater trochanter of the femur and tubercle of the humerus. So here is a tractor. Which is the what is the function of tractor? Here, function of tractor is like a muscle which pulls the action. Okay. So next, according to development, there are third type of epiphysis known as atavistic epiphysis. So in the atavistic epiphysis, what we have to remember that it is a phylogenetically they are separate bones initially, but they are separate bones. Okay, but in the human they lose their independent identity and are fused with the other bones. So phylogenetically they are separate bone. मतलब starting में वो क्या है वो अलग 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 रहता था और अब क्या हो गया दूसरे बोन्स के साथ आके फ्यूज हो गया जैसे कि हम लोग देखते हैं स्कैपुला स्कैपुला को ये बोलते हैं एक प्रोसेस होता है इसको बोलेंगे कोराकॉइड प्रोसेस ठीक है तो ये जो कोराकॉइड प्रोसेस है ये कहीं और था पहले ठीक है ये कहीं और था ठीक है ना ये कहीं और कुछ और ही बोन था ड्यूरिंग द टाइम ऑफ डेवलपमेंट अब ये क्या हुआ स्कैपुला से आके फ्यूज हो गया यहाँ पर ठीक है अभी क्या हुआ स्कैपुला से आके फ्यूज हो गया तो ये क्या बना दिया यहाँ पर में एटाविस्टिक एपिफाइसिस ठीक है एटाविस्टिक एपिफाइसिस बना दिया so this is known as atavistic epiphysis. Some also posterior tubercle of the talus. How posterior tubercle of the talus is formed? Maybe asked in your viva question also कि how coracoid process is formed, how trochanteric how greater and lesser trochanter is formed. Okay, so this is all about epiphysis of the atavistic. So what we have to learn is the about the atavistic epiphysis. So in the atavistic epiphysis, we have to remember that phylogenetically, the bones, posterior tubercle of the talus, was initially different bones. Phylogenetically, they are um, what you can say, ये अलग थलग था, ठीक है ना? They are separate bones initially phylogenetically, but in humans they lose their independent identity. वो अपना खुद का identity, उसका self जो respect है वो खो दिया और क्या किया वो bones के जाके fuse हो गया, ठीक है? अब उसको लगा कि नहीं अब कुछ अकेले कुछ नहीं हो सकता, अब fuse होना पड़ेगा वैसा, ठीक है? Now coracoid process of scapula बता दिया posterior tubercle of the talus जिसको हम लोग बोलते हैं ostrigonum, और क्या बोलते हैं हम लोग ostrigonum, okay? नेक्स्ट फोर्थ टाइप ऑफ एपिफाइसिस नोन एज एविडेंट एपिफाइसिस मतलब कहीं भी कैसे भी बन जाएगा ठीक है फॉर अंडरस्टैंडिंग द एविडेंट एपिफाइसिस यू हैव टू राइट डाउन दिस स्लाइड you have to write down this slide like formed evidently okay that formed evidently means you what you have to write in this evident epiphany metacarpal bones. Basically, it is seen in the metacarpal bones. Possess only one epiphysis at the distal end, except first, which is the epiphysis that is proximal end only. So what we have to remember that this is the metaphysis. Okay, so this is the head and this is the base. So this is the only epiphysis the distal end. So initially, um, there is a one epiphysis at distal end. Okay, except first, which has epiphysis that is proximal end only. So this line you have to remember like that. Okay. So for understanding this line, I have made this slide. Okay. So this is the head, this is the base. So what we can see that this is the proximal end. Okay. This is the distal end. Okay, from this point of view, the metacarpal bones possess only one epiphysis at their distal end. Okay, except first, मतलब first के पास क्या होगा? Proximal end पे एक epiphysis होगा, ठीक है? Except first with the epiphysis that is proximal end only, ठीक है? So except first, there is a proximal end at the one epiphysis. Sorry, this is the proximal. ठीक है तो प्रॉक्सिमल एंड पे एक एपिफाइसिस होगा जिसको बोलेंगे एटाविस्टिक एपिफाइसिस। ओके, एविडेंट एपिफाइसिस। ओके, डिजिटल एंड पे नहीं होगा। लेकिन अगर हम लोग सेकेंड, थर्ड, फोर्थ, फिफ्थ को मेटाकार्पल को देखते हैं तो उस केस में यहाँ पर में डिजिटल एंड पे एपिफाइसिस प्रेजेंट होता है। ठीक है, डिजिटल एंड पे एपिफाइसिस प्रेजेंट होता है। एपिफाइसिस पोजेस ओनली वन एपिफाइसिस एट देयर डिजिटल एंड एक्सेप्ट फर्स्ट। फर्स्ट में क्या होगा? प्रॉक्सिमल एंड। ठीक है, एफ से फर्स्ट, एफ से पी, पी से फर्स्ट, पी से पी, थोड़ा बोलने में साउंड्स लाइक सेम। ओके, सो यू कैन रिमेम्बर लाइक दैट। तो प्रॉक्सिमल एंड पे एपिफाइसिस फर्स्ट में होगा और सेकेंड, थर्ड, फोर्थ, फिफ्थ में क्या होगा? डिजिटल एंड पे एपिफाइसिस वन एपिफाइसिस प्रेजेंट होगा। ठीक है, तो इसको हम लोग क्या बोलेंगे? Evident epiphysis. ठीक है ना? The head of the first metacarpal and base of the other metacarpal have evident epiphysis. So, if you want to make diagram, you have to make this diagram on your program. Okay, evident epiphysis for the head of the first metacarpal, coracoid process of the scapula, and posterior tubercle of the talus have atavistic epiphysis, and traction of the epiphysis lesser and greater trochanter, and pressure epiphysis on the head of the humerus. So there is a muscle attachment, there is a joint also attachment. This makes the weight here. This makes the weight here and forms the pressure epiphysis. Okay, so you have to make this diagram on your exam. So this is a simple diagram I have noted here. So one more thing. What is the development of epiphysis? Epiphysis develops from the secondary center of ossification. Remember this point. This is very, very important point. If we when we discuss the ossification, we will also discuss the secondary ossification, primary ossification. One of the best example of secondary ossification is epiphysis. Most important viva question for you. Okay, they developed by the process of endochondral ossification. Okay, so there are two endochondral ossification, mesenchymal ossification. These all are the types of ossification, and there are two center of ossification: primary center of ossification and secondary center of ossification. We will discuss in the chapter of ossification. First, you have to remember this point also. So this both are the viva question you have to remember. Okay, now. So this was the epiphysis. One more thing is, what is apophysis? If your Viva is very good, they may be asked about the apophysis. Apophysis is normal development of outgrowth to the bone which arises from the separate ossification center and fuse to the bone later in the development. Means they are originate from the separate ossification center, but they will fuse in the bone also in the development, the time of development. So if we see the this, so this is the radius you can see, and in the radius, what we can see, this bone arises initially from other part. Okay, separate ossification center, but fused to the bone later on the development. Occasionally, the apophysis can persist into the adult life, and if injured, may become the symptomatic. It may be injured in the new life also. So the many apophyses in the body have variable appearance and are often mistaken for fractures. So most important here, there may be the fracture in your life also, and there may be the symptomatic injury. Maybe also you can see in this point. Okay, so you have to aware about that type of fractures. Okay, so this was all about the epiphysis. I think you understand the epiphysis concept of epiphysis. Okay, I am telling all in the English because many of the students does not understand the Hindi. So I am trying to understand in both language, Hindi and English also. So you have to prepare about that. So if any query you can write down the on the comment section. I will solve all the doubts which you will put in your comment section. Understand? So this is all about. In the next video, we will discuss the blood supply of bone. Okay, in the next video, we will discuss the blood supply of the bone. For that, you have to subscribe my channel and open the notification bell icon so that you will get the all the updates regarding to the channel. Okay, so we will see in the next video. Thank you so much.